Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 2 of hashtag Through a Different Lens. And today I'm going to be discussing mental health. It's quite an important subject for me because I've suffered with mental health my whole life, and it wasn't till recently that I discovered that a lot of it has to do with my physical disabilities and how they make me feel as a person and the struggles that I go through on a day to day basis and how that can affect how I feel in general, mentally as well as physically. Uh, Personally, I think that there is a huge connection with people that have a physical illness and mental health. I think that there's a lot of people out there suffering with some kind of mental health issues, and probably 60 to 70% of them have got a physical disability. It could be to do with mobility, it could be to do with an accident that they've had and they've never fully recovered. They could be going through something that causes them chronic pain on a day to day basis. And let's be honest, that isn't something that people want to be living with every day. Mental health is such a taboo subject. People don't want to discuss it. It's like if you've got some sort of mental health issue, there's this stigma around it and people don't discuss it enough. Me, I've probably my first experience with mental health, I think looking back, was shortly after I had my back surgery. After finding out I had a 70-degree curve in my spine and they needed to correct it, I just assumed that I would literally go in, have an operation, have a few weeks healing, and then I'd be back to the person that I was. When I discovered that I was never going to be that person again, I struggled mentally. It affected me big time. That was probably the first time that I ever had any any mental health input. I saw a psychologist in Great Ormond Street Hospital. I was an inpatient for a very long time, and obviously the doctors and the nurses that I was seeing on a day-to-day basis on the ward could see that I was struggling mentally. I was having anxiety. I was suffering really bad with depression. I'd wake up and I'd cry all day, and I very rarely smiled. I didn't want to get out of bed. They wanted to get me up, they wanted to get me moving, and I wasn't there for it. Like, I really wasn't. And I think that's because I was struggling inside and I didn't know how to deal with it. I was a 14-year-old kid, and I'd never had, like, mental health wasn't spoken about, especially in my family or in the area that I grew up in. Like, mental health was just something that you just didn't speak about. You sort of shut up, put up, and get on with things. And especially back then, like, I'm 32 now. When I'm 14, you don't even know what mental health is. You don't even, it's never been discussed before. So when I had this psychologist telling me that I had depression and that they wanted me to go on medication and that they thought that everything that had happened to me had taken a toll on my mental health, I didn't believe them. There was a long time that I just thought, nah, I'll be alright, I'll get on with things. And as I got home, I started experimenting with cannabis. I started just getting drunk, just doing whatever I could to sort of forget because I didn't want to deal with it. It wasn't something that, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't believe in it, to be honest with you. I was just a kid. I thought, oh, kids don't get it. Teenagers, sorry. Like, I'm just young, I'm just struggling, like, life has been hard, that sort of mindset. And it wasn't as I was growing up and I was in and out of hospital, I was having treatment, I was losing parts of myself every day. My hand, it was closing. I was noticing there was more things that I couldn't do. Uh, I felt a huge sadness that I wasn't like everybody else. Like, I felt down about it, but I didn't know that it was okay to feel down about it. I thought it was wrong. Like, I should just suck it up, get on with it, and deal with it because it's life. Like, that was the mindset that a lot of people had back then. And, like, we're lucky that today mental health is such a huge subject that people talk about it as much as they can. Even though there's still this stigma around it, people still want to talk about it. And it's getting better. Of course it is, but it's still not spoken about enough. There's a lot of people out there with physical disabilities that are going through mental health and they don't even realise it. They just think that they're physically disabled and it's something that they've got to live with, and they don't realise that all the anxiety that they have about going out and having to plan things in detail just to be able to go to the shops and get something that they need, or if they're going on a trip and they need to use the bus, whether the stop that they're getting on and off at is going to be able to be wheelchair accessible. Them sort of anxieties can affect you mentally, like hugely. Like, I struggle so much, like, with leaving the house, and it's not because mental health and my physical illness are separate. It's not. Like, they are combined, they are connected. 99% of people's mental health issues and their physical illness, it's all connected. You can't say that you go through something that changes you as a person and you're going to walk out of it feeling better. Like, it's just not something that you can fathom. Like, you can't. You can't think, oh, I'm going to go through this major surgery and I'm going to come out of it and I'm going to feel better. I'm going to heal perfect. Everything's going to run smoothly and you're going to go back to your normal life. And a lot of the time that doesn't happen. Like, you might think in the beginning that it will, but truth is, it change something like that. It changes you as a person. Like, I say quite often to my therapist, I say to her, like, I haven't got mental illness. I've got life. Life fucked me up. I went through things in my life that no child, no young adult, and definitely no adult should ever have to go through. I've been through things that, to be honest, many times I never thought I'd get through. Like, I honestly thought at some times that that's it, I can't deal with this anymore. And not a lot of people speak about that and speak about how they get through it. Like, I got through it. I've been through things in my life that I never thought I'd get through, but I got through it. And at that time, you might think, shit, like, I can't take this no more. But that's because everything has got to you mentally. Like, your body is different, your mindset has changed. You're living with chronic pain on a day-to-day basis. That can affect any normal, healthy person. Like, it can make them different, and there's nothing wrong with all of this. That's not spoken about enough. People like to sweep mental health under the carpet. Truth is, there's support out there, but these services are so overworked and they lack so much funding that they can't support people properly, even if they wanted to. They have these long, long lists for people to get help. People that have the courage and the bravery to step up and say, I need help. Like, I can't take the way that I'm living anymore. I need some sort of support. The people that can do that, they're then swept under the rug because the services are so overworked and so, like, run under the fucking ground that they can't help people. That comes down to the government. They need to be putting more funding into mental health. There's not enough people out there to help everyone. If you think how many people, one in 4 people have a mental health issue, and you've got 20 CPNs, therapists that work in one small unit, how are they supposed to help 1 in 4 people? It's not realistic. There's no way that they possibly can. So there's a lot of people out there that say, like, people do speak out, and when they do, they're put on these long waiting lists. That is not the service's fault. Like, that is purely down to the fact that the government is not putting enough money into the funding that they need. They need the funding to be able to employ more support workers, more CPNs, more therapists, more psychiatrists. There needs to be more people like that, because medication doesn't always work. For me, medication helped, but on many times I was over medicated. I never spoke about what I was going through. I just took the pill, hoped it got better, and it never did. So I went through this constant cycle of take some medication, everything runs smooth for 3 to 4 months. Something bad happens to me again physically. I get down about it. The medication's useless. Then I'm back into the cycle of needing support again. That was a lot of my life. I went through that particular cycle. And as I was saying before, I went through long waiting lists. And when I did finally get the support, I was in such a mess that I felt like I couldn't even be helped. I was permanently scarred by everything that had happened to me. And a lot of people now just are like given a pill and said, like, right, there you go, because that's all they can do. All they can do is offer you medication, because that's something the GP can do on an everyday basis, and then hope that you're okay on that waiting list. And they don't like it. It's not like they get a kick out of it, or we're going to make these people wait 18 months just to see a therapist. That's normal, because there is 1 in 4 people with a mental illness. Like, everybody's so angry at these services, yet they're the only people out there probably that want to help people. The government are not providing enough funding to help them, which is something I hope I can campaign for. And I will be writing to MPs, I will be writing to the Prime Minister, and I will try to get more funding for people with disabilities, for people with mental health, for people that are lost in this system and can't find a way out. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it on my own. I'm not going to be able to do it overnight. But if you bang on enough doors, hopefully somebody's going to answer. Like, the truth is, Boris Johnson, shall we say, wants the people to go to work. He hopes to take away their benefits. He wants them to go to work. He wants them to be better humans, but he's not providing the funding to the services, the NHS, mental health services. He's not giving them enough funding to be able to help people. And then if you're suffering mental health, how are you supposed to go to work? Some people can't even get out of bed. There has been many of times where I haven't even wanted to carry on, let alone get out of bed. That was the last thing on my mind. Like, sometimes I just wanted the world to cave in on me and swallow me up, and I didn't want to move on. But I want you to know that things can get better. I'm living proof. There's been times where I never ever thought I would be where I am now. I have an amazing partner. I have a home that I love. I have family. I have friends. I have a support network around me. You have to help as well. And yeah, it's hard, and to say, or shall I say, it's easy for me to just say, right, help yourself, but it's not. You need support, but there's a lot of people out there that haven't got that. And if there is support out there, they don't know about it. And that's something together we need to change. And it's not going to be changed overnight, but together we can make a difference. You just need to be willing. And I'm hoping within the next episode or one after, to try and get some guests on to speak about mental health, to speak about disabilities, and to speak about things that people do not speak enough of. And yeah, like, mental health is huge. I could sit here and talk for hours about it, but I'm trying to keep my videos as short as possible. And I just want to say thank you for supporting my journey. And it might seem irrelevant, mental health, and I've got muscular dystrophy, but like I'm proving now, they're very connected. Like, my disability changes who I am on a month to month basis, and that changes the way that I see life. And people don't realise that. So thank you for listening. Like, this means a lot to me, and the content is going to be around, obviously, physical health, but I will be speaking about lots of other things, subjects, and talking about my campaigns, talking about the letters that I've sent to prime ministers, MPs, lots of important people, to try and get the message out there. And you guys, like, liking, sharing, like, retweeting, following me on my socials, that means everything, because then that means more people see this, and more people can try and understand. They may have a friend, they may have family members that are going through a hard time and they don't know how to support them. Just be there. Like, just listen if they want to talk. They don't always want to talk, but just be there in case they do. Like, you can't help somebody if they don't want to be helped. But some people don't realise that they need the help. And that's where we're going wrong. And I just want to make a change. I needed to find a purpose. This is the whole point of me doing this, is that I was getting down. More diagnoses were coming out and I was finding it so fucking tough. And I needed to pick myself back up and be like, nah, I'm not letting this get me down. Like, I needed to find a purpose. And if I can help one person, then I've done what I aim to do. So please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook even, like all of TikTok especially. I'm putting a lot of stuff on TikTok at the moment. That's at Dynamic Media 25. Instagram, hashtag Through a Different Lens. Twitter is Gemma Walker at Through a Lens, and that's double S at the end. And yeah, like, message me, like, share, tweet, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and that's a wrap. End of episode 2. Episode 3 is out next week, and I will inform people through the week what the subject will be about. Until then, thank you very much. I hope you have a brilliant week, and I hope that this can just help one person. Like, there's always a better day. You might not see it, but there is. I'm living proof. I could not even tell you the amount of times that I thought I could not pick myself back up off the ground. But I did. And it was hard, but I did. So keep fighting, people. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. It honestly means the world to me.